Hello, and thank you for joining us today. I'm Victoria Allen, your host, and I'm here joined by Glenda with Group Home Biz. How are you doing today, Glenda?
I'm great, thanks. How are you? It's good to see you
I
again.
Awesome. I am wonderful. Great to see you as well. So, since our last time speaking, we definitely got a lot of more information and questions that we're looking for when it comes to group homes. So, I know today in particular, we want to talk about licensing. So, can you just start out by telling us the difference of, what distinguishes a licensed group home versus a, unlicensed group home?
Absolutely. So, licensed group homes are regulated and monitored by various state agencies to ensure that they meet specific standards for safety, for care, and for the type of services that are provided to individuals that are residing in those group homes. The standards are designed to really protect the individuals that are in your care to make sure that they're receiving high quality care and the services that they need. Licensing also includes things like regular inspections, and there's requirements for staff training. All of these things that are designed to ensure that group homes are complying with these guidelines to make sure that the people who are vulnerable that are residing in our group homes are safe and that they are receiving the care that they need. So, on the other hand, unlicensed group homes are not required to follow these stringent regulations. So, typically, they offer a varying levels of care and safety, and there's no oversight for these homes. So, the there's a lot of variety in terms of what you can find in these unlicensed group home, and it really depends largely on the goodwill of the owner of that particular good home or of that particular group home rather than on um, the owners of a group home following a set of specific standards and guidelines to ensure the safety of individuals in their home.
So I'm already hearing a lot of benefits on why you would want to be licensed versus not be licensed. So are there any other additional benefits that you can tell us about being licensed?
Sure. Really, the benefits include really first and foremost, especially when we're working with individuals, we want to ensure that residents receive proper care and proper services. And that's usually based on a diagnosis of some sort. This only enhances the quality of life for the residents and it brings peace of mind to the families that are placing individuals in these group homes. It's really essential for building trust in the community as well. So when you think about the NIMBY effect, I don't know if you've ever heard of that, but it really stands for not in my backyard. So having a licensed group home helps to eliminate the concern and worries that your neighbors might have potentially about the group home because there are more standards in place and more oversight. Some other advantages include the payment system. So typically in an unlicensed group home, the payment comes directly from the individual or from the individual's family. I believe there are requirements for the amount of payment that you can receive from an individual, and it's based on income eligibility. And sometimes this isn't a smooth process. But when you're working with a licensed group home, the individuals that are residing there are typically members of a waiver or they're made eligible for a waiver in which the operators of a group home are paid through. And this typically goes through Medicaid or Medicare, which is a much more stable and systematic method of being paid for the services that you're providing to individuals in your care.
And so with the word license, sometimes people say, okay, wait a minute. I don't know if I'm ready to go through this, right? To get licensed, but they don't have to do it alone. So how does group home biz help with that process?
That's a great question. That is really the core of what we do as an organization. We support individuals who are seeking to open licensed services, whether that's a group home service or a community based service. So we offer comprehensive support and guidance throughout the entire licensing process. This starts with the initial planning stages through our business planning services, and it really can help our clients understand what all of the requirements are. And our services take you not only through licensing, but we also have services and supports that can help new agencies after their license. We call that our back office services. So we have a lot of expertise in not only helping people become licensed, but also as an agency, we have experience in operating group homes. So we have a wealth of knowledge, and our extensive staff, that's all we do. And we're very clear about the barriers and the issues that new agencies or new services might encounter, and we are here to help prevent some of those startup woes, and make sure that each of our clients set off on a very smooth and successful path to getting their business up and running.
That's a very nice way to say it, startup woes. That's a very gentle way,
Yeah,
it really can be a frustrating process, but it's good to hear that Group Home Biz is there to guide you along the way. And so, can you share with us an example of how Group Home Biz has successfully helped a licensed group home?
sure, certainly. We have many success stories in our 8+ years of operation. But I can share one thing. We had an individual that come to us who was very passionate about wanting to help individuals and to provide quality care for adults with developmental disabilities. This particular individual had a family member with developmental disabilities, and in seeking care for their family members, they realized that this particular population was very underserved in their community. So they started researching the licensing process and quickly became overwhelmed by the daunting process, truly. So they reached out to us, and we assisted them step by step, beginning again with our business planning processes, where we were able to outline for them all of the requirements. So we let them know what the requirements for ownership and operation were, what the licensing process is, what it's going to look like them financially to operate the business, both at startup, but also over time. So we developed a forecast that was conservative, and it was able to help them see in the future what it would look like for them to operate the business from a financial standpoint. And then once we went through the business planning stages, they continued to work with us in our turnkey services. And it's in our turnkey services where we walked them through the licensing process step by step, including getting their business up and running in their states, accessing the application, making sure they met all of the requirements, helping them get their liability insurance, and developing all of their documentation, including their policies and procedures, which is a huge part of our turnkey services. And where a lot of people who come to us, once they've already started the process, they're reaching out to us to help with the development of that documentation. So we wrote this individual's policies and procedures based on the regulations that governed group homes for individuals with disabilities in their state. So what this led to was this individual being licensed and successfully starting a group home for individuals with disabilities. They are now thriving and are providing excellent care and are in full compliance with state requirements.
Awesome. That is inspiring. And so, for our listeners who are ready to take that step, they're ready to go, what should their first step be on their journey to opening a licensed group home?
Yes. So, of course, their first step should be to reach out to us at Group Home Biz. We can talk to them about what they're looking to do and offer initial consultation where we can discuss their vision, assess their needs, and outline the basic steps required to get licensed through our business planning process. So, as I mentioned earlier, business planning is really crucial for setting up a strong foundation. And so our clients understand the scope of what's involved in the licensing process. Once our business planning services are concluded, we'll then talk to our potential client about moving forward with us in our turnkey system, in our turnkey services. And this is where, this sort of continuum of support for individuals or clients really helps to minimize any unforeseen barriers as much as possible to ensure a smooth opening of their business.
And so, as far as those who can reach out to Group Home Biz, so there's those that are just starting the journey, they've had the idea and they're ready to go. What about those that may have started their group home, but they may have stumbled a little, right? Things aren't working properly. How can Group Home Biz support those?
So we can certainly help people who have already started down the path to licensing or that have already opened their group homes and that might be struggling in terms of getting things off the ground. So we offer customized consultation for these clients. We also have a product called our 90-day quick start, which really can help clients that are kind of working through the licensing process, but might be struggling with that documentation piece. So it's in our 90-day quick start where we can, work with them where they are and provide that documentation so they can submit a professional, complete application to their state.
That's great. And so we have our listeners with us. And so we have some questions that has came up, right, from just hearing what we've been discussing. So
Sure.
one of the questions that came up was, do you have to be a healthcare worker to start a group home?
That is a really great question. So the requirements for being the executive director or primary leader in a group home is going to vary state by state and within each state, population by population. So the requirements for an operator or an administrator or an executive director of a youth group home is going to be different than an administrator or operator of a group home for individuals with disabilities. So group home biz can help clients who are coming to us with these questions to determine what those requirements are. But I do also want to share that there are no specific requirements for owning a group home. So anyone can own a group home. They would just have to make sure that they can hire an individual that meets those specific educational or experiential requirements for being an executive director or an administrator. And we can help them, kind of work through that, understand what those regulations are so that they know before they jump into the licensing process whether or not they're going to need to hire one of those high level individuals for their organization.
And does Group Home Biz help with particular states, or do you pretty much help with any state really that's looking,
Yeah.
wherever they are looking to open a group home?
Yep. So we help with any state. We operate, I would say, I think the last time we ran the statistics, I think we're helping individuals in about 38 states, which is fantastic. So we help in any state. When we do our business planning, we treat each client as if it's brand new to us. So when we do our research for business planning, we are going directly to the sources in each of those states to learn what those requirements are. And we speak to the licensing agency and the regulatory agency based on the particular type of service that our client wants to open. So things change rapidly in this industry. application processes, excuse me, application processes may start and then they may end. So we want to make sure that when we're engaging with a new client, that the application process hasn't had any significant changes since the last time we investigated for that particular state and that particular population.
And with that, what type of different populations are there in the different types of group homes that are opening?
That is another really good question, and I hear this a lot. So oftentimes clients come to us asking, what is the best type of group home that I should be opening? And I'll be frank with you, that's a question that we really struggle with because the various populations have similar requirements. So there are youth group homes, so group homes for youth. There are group homes for transitioning youth, so youth that may be transitioning out of foster care or out of a group home. So that might be independent living or a supported living environment. Then we have group homes for adults. And the population of adults that are typically seeking group home support may be individuals with substance use disorders or adults with mental health disorders that they need ongoing day by day support in navigating and managing their symptoms and getting the right treatment and supports. And then there are group homes for individuals with disabilities. So group homes for individuals with disabilities, that I would say is the most changing population across the country. So way back when in the 60s and 70s, individuals with disabilities who were not able to be cared for in their homes were often sent to institutions. And I'm sure that you and all of our listeners have heard about, some of the horror stories. It's just not the best environment for treatment and care and for dignity of person. So the push across the country and over the years has been to integrate individuals with disabilities into our communities, which is just a wonderful movement. So the the push is really for community integration. Group homes for individuals with disabilities do exist, um, but they're really seeking to provide care to individuals with disabilities in their own setting. So hopefully their own residence or providing supports so that individual can remain in the home of their primary caregiver. And Group Home Biz, we can support with licensing for this continuum of group homes and community-based services.
Thank you, Glenda, for sharing that information and answering the listeners' questions.
You're
And
welcome.
so, with that, what are any final, just closing thoughts that you have for those on the licensing of a group home?
Sure. I really just would like to emphasize the importance of providing quality care through a licensed group home. This not only benefits the residents, and I've talked about how it improves their quality of care and their safety and provides peace of mind for their families, but it also helps the business owner build a reputable business. Now, I'm not saying that all unlicensed group homes are not run properly. I'm sure there are many out there that are, but we at Group Home Biz feel that the appropriate way to own and operate a group home is through a licensing process. I mentioned some other benefits as it relates to reimbursement for those services and then having that oversight and accountability through your state's agencies. We're here to make the journey through licensing as successful as possible for our clients. And I really want to encourage our listeners to reach out and take that first step toward making a meaningful impact in your community.
And what's the best way to get in contact and reach out to Group Home Biz?
So, we're going to hopefully post a page here at the end of our podcast that shows all of our contact information. But for a quick response, you can send an email to info@grouphomebiz, and that's biz.com. Our phone number is 85, excuse me, no, our phone number is 513-898-3307, and someone will be able to assist you.
Awesome. Thank you, Glenda, for just sharing all this information and answering the questions that our listeners had. And as Glenda said, we will have the information that will pop up shortly. And continue to send us the questions that you have and let us know what you would like to know about group homes and the licensing process. So we thank you for joining us. Glenda, it's always a pleasure just connecting with you, and we'll see you next time on Group Home Biz. Take
Thank
care.
you. Thank you.
Bye.
It was nice speaking with you again.